Alrighty, fellas, it is that time again. Yeah, again, I can't even talk. What's wrong with me? It is time for Press Pass Live here in the OMFL. This is our weekly podcast, vodcast, whatever you want to call it, as we recap the week that was here in the OMFL. And this is our first one since the draft show. Draft show was a lot of fun. Thank everybody who turned out for that. It was a good turnout. It was one of our best draft shows that we've had. Season 2 is well underway. Or I should say Season 69, Season 2 of Madden 17 is well underway. So let's get right into it. We'll take a look at Weeks 1 and 2. We just advanced to Week 3 this afternoon. We'll take a look at a couple of early stat leaders, maybe even some rookies who are already starting to make a difference here in the league. This is when it gets fun to me, is whenever we start getting these Madden-generated rookies and get to see who's going to really make an impact. So let's do it. Let's jump right in there and get things done. So Week 1, the Packers and the Falcons faced off. The Falcons come away with a 45-28 victory. The Dolphins beat up on the Chargers 17-12 in a low-scoring victory for the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are one of the hotter teams here in the OMFL to start out early this season. The Colts and the Bengals go at it. The Bengals come away with a 44-38 victory over the Colts. The Colts get a big victory in Week 2, and we'll talk about that. The Bengals really started out red hot in Week 1. They ended up getting a sim win in Week 2, but in all honesty, they had pretty much all lost that game in Week 2 before a disconnect kind of saved him, and then there were some other issues, and they weren't able to replay, so it was a straight sim, and he was able to pick up a win. But overall, the Bengals start out red hot, 44-38 with a victory. Chicago Bears come away with a 28-17 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. The Chicago Bears owner ended up quitting in Week 2. We'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. But he was looking good in Week 1 with a 28-17 victory over the Minnesota Vikings, who are in our game of the week in Week 3. One of the best, most powerful offensive teams in the OMFL. The Eagles come away with a 35-13 victory over the Washington Redskins. That was a CPU game because we didn't have a Washington Redskins owner at the time, but we do now. Got an old owner who returned, and we're glad that he's back. And so hopefully those Redskins will be able to turn some things around. Steelers come away with a 13-2 victory over Baltimore. Vandelay getting him a safety. I love Vandelay. He's constantly active as far as his team on the back end, trying to move the back end and really build his team up. Doesn't talk a whole lot. You never really hear from him in the chat, but super active with his team. I can't wait to see him really build that team up to get better. But Madden Maniac, a new owner here, recently new owner here, doing a good job with his Steelers and comes away with a nice victory against the Baltimore Ravens. The New England Patriots showing why they are the top dog in this league, at least behind the Bills for the time being. 42-24 over the New York Jets. New York Jets have had a tough time on defense these first 2 weeks. We'll talk about them a little later, but they're an intriguing team that seems that they're just a couple of steps away from getting it all put together and really making things happen. The Saints lose to the Buccaneers 16-24. My buddy Chaotic can't seem to get things figured out, but I think he is well on his way. And with just a couple more moves, a couple more games, I think he's going to be able to make this happen. Dallas Cowboys win against the Oakland Raiders 28-26. Big Hurt comes away with a nice Week 1 victory over a very powerful Bows team in the Raiders. This Dallas team is really going to shock some people this year. The Raiders are a very good football team, and this is a nice victory for the Dallas Cowboys. Detroit bounces back after their Super Bowl loss to avenge it, 35-10 against the Cleveland Browns. I know that Outlaw is getting a little frustrated with his team, but it's a total rebuilding job, and he knew that he was taking over a rebuilding job, and I have faith that he'll get it turned around sooner or later. The New York Giants come away with a 1-point victory, 22-21 over San Francisco. That is a nice ball game from the Giants. Giants are on an early lead here, early in the season, the first 2 weeks, and trying to get that team rolling. Seemed to kind of lose some things there at the end of last season, so it's nice to see them start off hot. My Arizona Cardinals beat the Tennessee Titans 37-30. This was a really, really good game. Could have been game of the week if you watch that video back. It's on our YouTube channel, so you should go check it out. A good back and forth game, and Jimmy Garoppolo paid huge dividends for me. 81% completion percentage and 5 touchdowns in that game. Jacksonville Jaguars come away with a 31-26 victory over the Houston Texans. A good win for Brady and his Jaguars, a team that was super hot, probably one of the most powerful teams for 3 quarters of the season. And then in the offseason, in the playoffs, I should say, he kind of lost something there and ended up faltering and not making it all the way. But that is his lone focus, and he really is putting all his attention in making that run and getting to the OMFL Bowl and taking that away from the Buffalo Bills. Denver Broncos come away with a 31-28 victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. Longhorn with a nice victory over Ziploc. I like Ziploc. I like what he's doing with that team. I like that Kansas City team, and that is a good way to keep it close. Even at home against the Denver Broncos, they are one of the teams to beat here in this league. Seattle Seahawks come away with a 42-38 victory over the Rams. Accelerator and I are going to face this week, so I'm going to find out what the Seahawks team is all about. He's been dumping old guys and dumping salary trying to rebuild. That'll probably come back to haunt him later, but right now he's got the tools, he's got the players, and the Rams found out about it. The Rams are a very, very good team. Probably going to be a team that can win over here in the NFC. What is this? The NFC West is what it would be. They may be the team to beat in the NFC West, but the Seahawks make an enormous statement in Week 1 and come away with a nice victory. Then the Buffalo Bills show the Carolina Panthers why they are champions. They come away with a 33-9 victory at home in front of the crowd to really showcase their Super Bowl talent. I want to take a quick, closer look at this Kansas City Chiefs and Denver Broncos game. Really back and forth. Kansas City Chiefs scored every single quarter and actually took a lead 14-10 into halftime. But those Denver Broncos in that last fourth quarter were able to put 14 on the board and really take the lead and hold off the Kansas City Chiefs for the win. 168 rushing yards for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is a good standing to show. We're still messing with the rushing sliders, but man, they really show that that is where their team is going to be centered this year, and they'll be one of the best rushing teams in the league. The Denver Broncos, on the other hand, showing why they're going to be one of the top passing teams in the league. 361 passing yards against 232. 19 first downs to 13. 4 turnovers for the Kansas City Chiefs, though. They can't turn the ball over that much. You got to protect the ball, especially at home against one of the better teams in the AFC. You need to protect the ball, and you can't turn it over 4 times. 6 third down conversions to only 1. So the Denver Broncos were not only forcing turnovers, but they were also forcing the Kansas City Chiefs off the field on third down. 3 red zone touchdowns to 4 red zone touchdowns, 10 penalty yards to 15. And here's another stat that's going to come back to haunt you. This is probably why you give up 14 points in the fourth quarter. Outside of the third down conversion being low and outside of the turnovers being high, you only kept the ball for 15 minutes, whereas the Denver Broncos kept it for almost 25 minutes. So that is another tough way to try to win a game whenever that happens. Paxton Lynch, 3 touchdowns to only 1 interception, whereas Alex Smith, 1 touchdown to 3 interceptions. That was really the big difference in the game. Rushing was all about the Kansas City Chiefs. Both Ware and Charles almost at 100 yards. Ware was averaging 14.2 yards a carry. He's got a touchdown. Charles got 6.1 with 2 touchdowns. Anderson did his best to keep it up. He did average 4.2 yards a carry, which is pretty good, but only 16 carries on the day and only 67 yards. No one else seemed to be able to get enough carries in this ball game. You would like to see the Denver Broncos get to closer to that 80-20 mark. Only 2 carries for their backup. Cleese, 6 receptions for 77. Demaryius Thomas, 6 for 111. Fowler, 5 for 117. The 2 touchdowns, though, coming from Emmanuel Sanders. This Denver Broncos team loves to spread the ball around. They're going to find the open receiver. They're going to get him the ball, and they're going to let him go make plays. Looking at some defense here, 11 tackles for Derek Johnson. The old man still hanging in there, showing that he can make plays. Ron Parker tosses in another 7. And Josh Mayuga, the middle linebacker, throws in 7 tackles himself. 2 tackles for loss for Barrett, 2 for Hali, and 2 for Poe. You got a sack also from Poe and a sack from Todd Davis. It looks like the Denver Broncos likes to play that 3-4 defense. They're pretty good at that, and they will cause you to make some bad decisions. A lot of interceptions, as we know, in this game. Barrett gets 1, Gaines gets 1 for the Kansas City Chiefs, Talib gets 1, and Chris Harris gets 1. So the 2 cornerbacks doing in work and putting in work, I should say, and doing the job and getting interceptions for their team. And the Denver Broncos comes away with a nice victory on the road against those Kansas City Chiefs. Take a quick look at Week 2. Carolina Panthers with a 23-6 victory over the New Orleans Saints. I gotta say, I'm pretty disappointed in that. I really think that the Saints can turn things around, but he's really struggling in offense. He has the quarterback. I think he's starting to find the running back. That offensive line still needs a lot of help. I thought he would go out and address that this offseason. He really didn't. He really addressed the defense, and he really addressed his running back and receiver position groups, but did not address that offensive line as much as I thought that he would. The Miami Dolphins come away with a 31-16 victory over the Jets. I got to watch a portion of this game. The Jets kept battling back and trying to keep it close, but they went very pass heavy, and the Miami Dolphins made him pay for that. They were able to make the plays that were needed, and they were able to score the touchdowns when needed, whereas the Jets just continued to turn the ball over, and it kind of got away from them late. Tampa Bay Bucks come away with a 35-10 victory over the computer at the time. So that's a tough game for the Washington Redskins. But like I said, they've got their owner back. Everts is back with us, and he's going to try to turn that thing around over in Washington. Baltimore Ravens come away, and they bounce back from Week 1 with a 27-7 victory over the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland's still looking for that quarterback. They've been looking for fullbacks and running backs. So a lot of position groups. I think that this is going to be another down year for the Cleveland Browns, but look for them to bounce back the following year if they can have a good draft. Again, we'll see how it works out. I was really disappointed in their draft this past year. I didn't think it was that good of a draft, and I wanted to see them do more. It really just didn't happen. The Atlanta Falcons with a 24-14 victory over Detroit. Detroit is one of those teams last year, started out red hot, cooled off, got late right before the playoffs, made a run in the playoffs, and then went all the way to the bowl. So it really is one of those confusing teams to figure out. They fall to a very powerful Atlanta Falcons team at home in front of the home crowd. That's a little disappointing. New England Patriots find out that Ziploc really is a good player, and he kept this close. Ziploc, you're right there, man. You just got to hang in there, make a couple of more plays. They lose 27-33 to the high and mighty New England Patriots, a team that is loaded from top to bottom and really knows how to make plays. Philadelphia Eagles, another owner that we don't hear a ton from, mainly because he's on a different time zone. He is a powerhouse, and even though the the Dallas Cowboys, I should say, were coming off a very impressive victory in Week 1, they fall to the Philadelphia Eagles on the road, 31-21. Those Eagles might be a team to reckon with. We'll kind of see if he can keep this up and keep it steady throughout the season. Indianapolis Colts, they win 28-17. We're going to come back, talk more about this game. I didn't get to watch it. I turned it on, and then life happened, and I couldn't watch it. The Colts coming away with an impressive victory at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. These two guys had some really good games last year, and this is a build-upon victory for the Colts if they can keep things going. Like I said, the Cincinnati Bengals come away with a 31-28 victory. I got to get on my buddy. He is one of my buddies here. A boy from 300. Houday, that's the name I was trying to find. He's on the hot seat. You need to check out that interview. It's a great interview. I was a little disappointed And we probably will introduce and implement a new rule by tomorrow or Tuesday, where we are going to add an addition to our disconnect rules, that if you are down by 15 or more inside 2 minutes and there's a disconnect, then you need to go ahead and forfeit and concede the game. That was a similar situation. He was down 14 with a minute to go, and it was disconnected, and they could not, because of some internet issues and different stuff, they could not reconnect and play again, and so it was a straight sim. The Bengals come away with the victory. He needs to count his lucky stars because he had that one at a loss. The Pittsburgh Steelers really had it in the bag, and he got lucky. Seattle Seahawks come away with a 45-42 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. I didn't get to watch this game, but I did watch the chat, and it exploded about this game. This game, they got really excited. I think if I understand it correctly, the Seattle Seahawks actually won on like a Hail Mary type situation, something like that. So a nice victory for the Seattle Seahawks. They keep it alive. They're going to come face my Cardinals. I think we're actually going to play tonight. Arizona comes away with a 26-6 victory over the Bears. I'll be honest with you, the Bears called about 85% of his defensive plays, 2 plays, either cover 2 zone or an all-out blitz. That was his 2 plays. He called about 80 to 85% of the game, and I made him pay for that. It's pretty easy after you kind of learn what somebody does that much of the game, how to beat that. I don't like the way I had to call offense due to that. I spoke to the guy after it was over, asked him if we could just work on that, clean that up, mix that play calling up. He promptly quit. So that's the second time he's quit our league. He's not coming back. See ya. He's out of here. We got a guy called Raised by Wolves. He's in here now. Excited about him being here. Hopefully he'll be able to turn some things around there in Chicago. It's a team that really was made to fit Smash's style and not necessarily correlates to everyone's style. So we'll see if Raised by Wolves can get things turned around. Oakland Raiders bounce back with a 35-19 victory over Meathead in San Diego. The Meathead's a tough guy to figure out. He just hasn't been here long enough for me to see what he's got, but he's an old PCer if I remember correctly. I think he'll get things figured out. He's just had his hands full with 2 of the better owners in this league, and the Raiders are one of those teams. LA Rams fall to the New York Giants at home 31-16. Rams are another confusing team. They seem to have all the tools, but haven't quite put it together just yet. Giants are starting out this season red hot, 2-0. Buffalo Bills fall to the Denver Broncos 24-23. Another shocking victory. I think the Bills had the lead late. I didn't get to watch this. I'm just going by what I was told. Had the lead late. Denver Broncos had to make a comeback. It looked like the Denver Broncos started to use like out routes and things like that to get away from Dux and his middle linebacker. Dux uses his middle linebackers, and he's got the fastest guys in the league, basically. And he's very, very good at using them. So if you're going to attack him, you got to go away from those guys. And it looks like Denver did that, and it paid out big, and they got a really nice victory against the champion Buffalo Bills on the road in Buffalo. That's a really nice way to do that. Minnesota shows their offensive powerhouse 41-20 against Green Bay. A nice victory. I'm still scratching my head, wondering what's up with Green Bay. I can't quite get them figured out. I want to know why they can't seem to put it all together. They are a very good team, and they've been here forever. The guy coaches real football. I think Green Bay can bounce back, but he's going to have to put it together here soon because he's dropped 2 early games here. And then Tennessee bounces back from a Week 1 loss to the Cardinals to beat the Houston Texans. Anytime you can beat Massimo, that's something to be proud of. Massimo is a really good owner. He's got his Texans back. That team is a good team here in the MFL, and a team that will be in the playoffs this year. Anytime you can beat him, that's something to be proud of. And Tennessee just does just that, 20-17. I like Clyde. I like what he's doing, and he's got a really, really good team. We are already in Week 3, and it looks like games are already being played. If you haven't watched the Game of the Week, you need to go do that. Just type in !GOTW, and it'll pop up, and you guys can check out the Game of the Week that we did this week. I want to thank the Falcons and Dwayne for doing that for me and getting that over to me. Let's look at some quick stats before we call it a night here. Not a whole lot to talk about when you're this early in the season. There's just not a whole lot that's going on. They just haven't seen enough of it. But I know that there are some rookies that are out there that are making a difference, that are making an impact, and might be some rookies that we have to watch out for as we kind of progress here. Here are your NFL, OMFL, I should say, quarterback leaders so far into week 2. And there's a lot of surprising names here. Dalton's up there with 686 yards. Luck 691. Rivers 694. Palmer even going over to the New England Patriots. He's got 700 yards. That guy can still play. He's only got him, probably going to have him for one more year, but Palmer can still play. Kaepernick 717 yards. Wilson 795. And then Eli Manning 1,028 yards. Your touchdown leader so far is going to be Wilson. This guy's been red hot. 9 touchdowns to only 1 interception. Kaepernick 8-2. Eli Manning 7-2. Andrew Luck 6-1. Dalton 6-3. My man Jimmy Garoppolo 6-0. And then Rodgers at 6-3. Look at some completion percentages. These are kind of high so far, but we've got a few guys who are really making plays. Eli Manning 77%. Palmer at 73%. Osweiler 72. Garoppolo 71. Even Manziel, who's taken over for Hurt Ryan, got hurt in week 1. He has a solid game these first 2 weeks. 4 touchdowns, 71%. So there's a good look at your quarterbacks. Take a quick look at your rushing leaders. These numbers are going to be kind of low. I say that. I was expecting them to be low, but Atlanta Falcons do have 3 games deep already. We have messed with the rushing slider, so that may be tweaked just a little bit more if guys go crazy. But Freeman's your leader. Martin, Hyde, Murray, and Charles. All these guys are averaging a lot of carries, just not a lot of yards. Your receiving leaders, Jimmy Graham. Now, we have talked to the Seattle Seahawks owner. He is working on this. Of course, Jimmy's going to be your leader when in one game he gets 16 receptions. But Jimmy is on the trading block, so if you need a tight end, Jimmy might be your guy. He's got 21 for 294 and 3 touchdowns. Nelson's got 18, 252 and 4 touchdowns. Jones 18, 377 and 3. Beckham 18. Doxton, a guy that was on the practice squad last year, he moves up to the main roster. He's got 17 for 180. Adams 16 for 306. 2 New York Giants there. That New York offense seems to be really rolling. Oh, they got 3 New York Giants guy. And then you get your first rookie that we do talk about in the game of the week. 15 receptions, 208, 2 touchdowns, 13.9 per reception. This is a tall, fast guy that's going to be making some plays. Pryor the third is your leader on defense, 30 tackles. Cravens with 26. Lee with 23, Amos with 22, Thomas with 21, Hall with 21. So some interesting guys to be your tackle leaders so far this early in the season. McCain is your leader at tackles for loss. White right behind him or tied with him. Ingram with 5, Wilkerson with 5, Brown with 5, and then Mack with 5. Not surprising there. A lot of sacks though. This is a surprising number, even though we're 3 weeks deep. He's already got 7.5 sacks. Missy's got 5.5. Mack has 4. Clowney has 4. Holmes has 3.5. Goodley has 3. Judden has 3. And Anasha has 3. We have turned that interception slider up just a hair, just so that we can get guys to have to pay for some of those throws that they make. But anyway, this guy, not even going to try to say his last name, but Jeremiah for the Chargers, 2 interceptions. Cam Chancellor, who is on the block to be traded. So if you need somebody, he's up there, and you can go and trade for him. He's got 2. Sorry, something caught my attention. I was looking at it. Talib's got 2. Norman's got 2. So 2 old guys still getting it done over for their 2 teams. The Denver Broncos and the Minnesota Vikings. Bethel's got 2, and Timmons got 2. See if anybody's got some touchdowns. Look at some forced fumbles. Jason Pierre-Paul's got 2, getting after the quarterback. Brooks has got 2. Mingo's got 2, making plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. And then Wesley Woodard still making plays for the Tennessee Titans. He's got 2. think there was a safety. It's not going to count as safety. I thought for sure there was a safety in one of those games. And we'll see how many touchdowns we've got. Brooks has one. Sam Shields has one. He got him from the Green Bay Packers this past week in a trade. Roby's got one. Gilchrist has one. Hamilton has one. And Kendricks has got one. So there's a look at your team so far. We'll take one quick look at your power rankings. And then we'll wrap it up with a little FPR news. My buddy Brady could not be here tonight, but we'll take a quick look at some FPR stuff, show you some updates, and then get you on out of here. Bengals are your number 1 team. Eagles number 2. Broncos number 3. Bucks number 4. Falcons number 5. Then it's followed by the Patriots, Dolphins, Giants, Seahawks, Cardinals as your 6 through 10. 11 through 15 are Steelers, Colts, Bears, Titans, Ravens. 16 through 20 is the Jaguars. You don't like to see them that low. Or the Bills. They're not going to stay down there either. The Panthers, the Raiders, I don't expect them to stay down there. The Vikings, I don't expect them to stay down there. 21 through 25, I don't expect the Cowboys to be this low, or the Lions. Some really good teams that just super early in the season, so don't expect them to stay there. But you got the Cowboys, Lions, 49ers, Chiefs, and Rams. 26 through 30 is the Jets, Redskins, Chargers, Saints, Packers, followed up by the Texans, who've had a tough go at it at 0-2, and then the Browns at 32, holding things down. So that is a look at weeks 1 and 2 here in the OMFL. It has been a really good week. There haven't been a ton of complaints. I think the major complaints that we seem to be having are going to be around the no-switch rule. Now, everyone knows that we're a no-switch league, which just means when the ball is in the air, you are not to switch or hold the button that you want for what type of catch. So if you want your receiver to do an aggressive catch, you can't hold the triangle button after you throw the ball. You got to let your guy go make the plays he's going to make. On defense, excuse me, I don't have a mute button. I don't have a professional setup here, but excuse me for that. On defense, you have full control of your player. Just like on offense, you have full control of the quarterback. On defense, you have full control of that one player. And if you can make a play and go after it, then you can make a play and go after it. But you're not allowed to switch while the ball is in the air. After a handoff, after a catch, a kick return, any of that stuff, you can switch. You can go after it. You can make plays. But you cannot switch while the ball is in the air. Listen, Brady is really like breaking this stuff down by 600 frames per second, frame by frame by frame, looking at when the circle pops up and when it doesn't. Look, I think in my opinion, Brady and I are probably going to see a little different eye to eye on this, and I can see eye to eye on this. I'm going to see different perspectives. All right, Brady's the FPR guy, and so if he makes a call on something, that's what we're going to let him make the call on. I think that you have to watch manual catch by eye. Regular play motion, see when it pops up. If the circle is popping up way before the ball gets there, then you're switching. That is just the way it works. Where we see the most switches is when guys are trying to rush the quarterback and they go to switch to hit the quarterback, and right as they're doing that, the quarterback throws it and it makes them switch to a cornerback. Look, that happens, all right? That stuff happens, things happen. But we seem to have a lot of complaints coming around the switching to receivers. I'm watching film. I'm not seeing a lot of it. But Brady is also really breaking this down. So he's really got his eye on it. So you need to really work as an owner here on not switching. Keep yourself, practice, put a sticky pad on your forehead, do whatever you got to do. Keep yourself from switching, okay? And keep ourselves from having a lot of complaints. The other complaint is really just going to be around overall play calling. When the game gets late, when things get on the line, guys tend to start to lean on certain play calls. Calling the same things over and over and over and over and over again. Going to a certain type of play call. Seeing a lot of shotgun runs, a lot of 3-receiver runs. We want to try to avoid these types of same old things. I don't want to see if you got a last-second drive to score a touchdown, all of a sudden you're going to all post outs, 3 and 4 verticals per drive. These are just real thirsty things that we don't want to see you have to go to, all right? Keep mixing it up on offense and defense. Let's keep having some good, clean games. So, if you haven't went to the website, make sure that you check that out, grownfolksoc.com. It's got all your latest updates from the OMFL, OMFL Coach Mode, the WWE League that we advertise for. It's called the OCW. It is getting started now, so we'll have some new shows that are going to be posted from that. And then the Grown Folks FC or FIFA team is really starting to get going, and we're starting to get things playing again. So check our YouTube page for any updates if you really want to check out what we do. If you grab FIFA and you want to play with us, come check us out. Got a lot of good guys, and we're having a really good time. Go to the Daddy Leagues page, daddyleague.com/OMFL. A lot of good blogs, a lot of good owner stuff that's up there. All right, we want you to read the new material that's out there. The Game of the Week is posted. This Press Pass Live is going to be posted, so tons of really good stuff. We are full right now, but we are looking for owners that we can add to our waiting list. So if you know of somebody that would be interested in what we're doing, send them our way. We'd love to connect with them, get them through the system. There is a little bit of an approval thing that they have to go through. We'd love to get them approved, and just waiting for when a team comes open, because life happens and guys have to leave for whatever reason. So a lot of good things are happening here in the OMFL. Make sure that you're participating in the extra content, all right? Write content for your team, participate in these Press Pass Lives, participate in the chat, because we take all of that into consideration whenever we hand out our incentive awards at the end of the season. And I would love to have all 32 owners win an incentive award, and so you guys can get those incentives and get what you've earned, all right? We try to make this easy and a low level of commitment. There's 3 different levels, plus the platinum level is a 4th level, all right? So there's a lot of ways to get involved here. If you're new here, I'll make you a banner for the forums. There's a thread on the main page. All you gotta do is request it, tell me what pictures you want. We'll make sure that we get that taken care of for you. Make sure you check out our incentive program, our hot seat, the Game of the Week video, tons and tons of good stuff. And the last favor that I'm going to ask is, if you haven't done it, go to leaguecrawler.com, sign up, make your profile, plug in your PSN, and then find the OMFL League under PS4. We're going to be their League of the Month this month, and I'd love for you to give us a vote and a comment of how you really feel. I'm not just asking for 10s. If you feel like we're not a 10, all right? Give us a real honest vote. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/grownfolksoc. Give us a Twitter follow. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a like on our videos. It's exciting, all right? It is a 69th season here in the OMFL. Can't wait till we get to season 70. It's a big accomplishment. We're the longest online league in the world, and it's something to be proud of. So, for the board here at the OMFL, all of the guys and Grown Folks community, thank you for tuning in to Press Pass Live. We will see you next week whenever we do a Game of the Week video, and then next Sunday we'll have another Press Pass Live. Until then, you guys have a great week. No injuries, straight gameplay. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out, fellas.